safety in the home. Today, Amanda Brown talks about how to protect small children from danger.
Hello. Well, this may seem a really obvious point, but you should always remember that small children are, well, small, and therefore see things from a completely different angle. I mean, they're often looking up at things that we grown-ups are looking down on. And this means that children often can't see what's on a table. Let me give you an example. A child who pulls at the hanging flex of an iron, which is on the table, probably can't see the iron, only the brightly coloured flecks. So be careful about the use of irons. They're hot as well as heavy. Cups of tea and coffee left on the table can also be a problem. Children pull at them and get splashed and often burned. And for the same reason, always turn the handles of saucepans inwards when they're on the cooker. Don't leave them sticking out, because small children can grab them and cause hot liquid to fall down on them, which can have really serious consequences indeed. As well as pulling at things, children like to run about a lot, so if you have any internal glass doors in your house, make sure they're fitted with safety glass. If they're not, and you can't afford to replace them, you can cover them with plastic film. Also, don't have bottles of cleaning products on the floor where children can easily find them. Lock them up or keep them out of reach. Another big danger is doors opening and closing. You should always open doors slowly and carefully, checking if a child is behind the door. And don't let little children put their fingers in the door frame. This is really dangerous and can cause serious injuries. If you see children doing this, warn them not to. Because little children like to put their fingers in dangerous places, it's advisable to fit plastic covers to all electricity sockets. This stops small fingers from going in, and it also prevents small children from plugging in electrical devices by themselves and possibly causing fires or injuring themselves in some way. Whenever you use the socket, remember to put the cover back on. And finally, and I think most importantly of all, be very careful not to leave boxes of matches in places where children can get their hands on them. This is very dangerous indeed and can have disastrous consequences. You will hear a message on your answer phone about important changes to the timetable of a conference that you are going to. For questions 11 to 20, complete the notes according to the information you hear.
Elizabeth Jenkins, Conference Secretary. I'm ringing you at home because we have had to make some last-minute changes to the conference arrangements, and these affect you. There isn't time to write to you before the start of the conference Friday. For reasons that I won't go into now, because they're a bit complicated, we have had to shorten the conference by half a day. It will now finish at lunchtime on Sunday, and this has had a knock-on effect on various activities. As far as you are concerned, it means that the talk that you are going to give is now on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and not at 2:30 p.m. as we told you previously. Time to last for 1 hour, so you will finish just in time for lunch, which begins at 12:30. We hope that this does not cause you too much inconvenience, and we apologise for having to make this change. The place of your talk is still the same, the science block, but it's in lecture room B, not lecture room D, and you will need to ask the porter to open it for you, as it's normally kept locked. We have made this change because room B has the video equipment that you requested, and room D doesn't. The room in which you will be staying has also been changed, I'm afraid. It is now room 308 in the Rochester building. You can pick up the room key from reception when you arrive. Just tell the receptionist the number, 308, and she'll give you the key. Please remember that you have to arrive before 9:30 p.m. at the latest, because that is when reception closes. The time of the wine reception has also been changed. It will now start at 7:15 and last for about an hour, finishing just before dinner at 8:15. When you arrive, remember to pick up a refund from reception. We have to make a small refund because the conference is half a day shorter than planned. Since it is quite small, we will pay it to you in cash at the conference. The receptionist will also give you a copy of the revised social program, although fortunately the changes to the social program have been very small. If any of this isn't completely clear, please feel free to ring me back. You can call me on 279-623-623. I will be leaving the office at 8 o'clock tonight, but I'll be back at 9 tomorrow morning.
You will hear a radio interview with a doctor about health and sport. For questions 21 to 30, complete each of the statements. Hello, and welcome to Questions and Answers. Dr. David Green, who is a specialist in sports medicine, has joined us in the studio today and has some good advice for people who are thinking of taking up a sport. Dr. Green, what factors do you think we should consider if we're thinking of taking up a sport?
Well, the first thing to think about is how old you are. Up to about the age of, say, 35, you can take up any sport you like, providing that you have no particular medical problems.
Mm-hmm.
If you're carrying a few extra kilos, or if you smoke, you should definitely avoid such sports as squash, fencing, and judo. By the age of 65, even healthy people should avoid those sports.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because such sports involve sudden bursts of energy which are not completely under your control. You have to respond to what your opponent is doing or what the ball is doing. There can be sudden and rapid increases in the heartbeat, and this can cause problems for some people. In addition, the sudden and unpredictable movements can cause people to fall over and injure themselves that way.
But some people may have been practicing these sports all their lives. Should they give up when they reach a certain age?
Oh, no, that's a different matter. If people have been practicing sports regularly all their lives, they can probably continue for as long as they feel like it. What we are talking about is taking up sports for the first time. You sometimes read in the newspapers about elderly people taking up karate, for example. This really isn't a good idea. Another danger is when people who practiced a sport when they were young don't do it for a few years and then take it up again expecting to be of the same standard as they were before. They often attempt too much and suffer injuries. In fact, such people should start again from the beginning and build up gradually to their previous standard.
Are there any sports or physical activities which are generally safe and suitable for everyone, even people who are older and perhaps not in the best of health?
Well, probably the safest of all is walking. A fairly vigorous and energetic walking, that is, which is safe for everyone. But sports such as swimming or cycling are a good choice because you can control your own pace and go as slowly or as fast as you wish.
I see.
That is the big difference compared with those sports we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Another plus point is that you are supported by the water if you're swimming or by the saddle if you're on a bike. This means that you don't get the problems caused by repeated impact of the foot on the ground, which you do get with running. But even when people have chosen the right sport for their age and fitness level, they often go about things in the wrong way.
Well, do they? Well, can you give us some examples of that?
Well, people often want to get a bit slimmer, and they think that doing more exercise will help them get rid of excess fat. But it won't, at least not by itself. You have to combine exercise with a calorie-controlled diet. Then you will get results. What people often don't realize is that it takes hours and hours of exercise to burn up tiny amounts of fat. You would have to run for 4 hours to burn up 100 grams of fat, for example. And if people have exercised a lot, they feel pleased with themselves and decide that they deserve an ice cream or something like that and just put back on the calories they have lost.
Even if people have that wrong idea, they probably won't come to any harm, though. Are there things people do which can lead to serious problems?
Well, yes. Another misconception is to do with cooling down after exercise. Most people understand the vital importance of warming up before you start exercising. If you don't do that, you risk tearing muscles and ligaments. However, when they finish exercising, many people go straight into a cold shower, or even worse, straight into the sauna. These are really very bad things to do. It is vital to cool down, because sudden changes of temperature are not good for you. In fact, they can be very dangerous. If you go straight into a sauna, for example, your already high temperature will go even higher, and your heart may begin to beat very fast.
Well, I've certainly seen many people do just that. I suppose that professional sportsmen don't make such mistakes.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. There is one thing that professional sportsmen do, because of the intense competitive pressure that they're under, which is one of the most dangerous things that anyone can do. It is to continue to exercise when they have a cold or minor infection. There have been more than a few cases of professional sportsmen dying because they have continued with their training schedule when they should have been in bed. So, if you are feeling under the weather, stop your exercise program until you have fully recovered.
You will hear 5 short extracts in which different people talk about accidents that they have had. Task 1. For questions 31 to 35, match the extracts as you hear them with the types of accident listed A to H. Task 2. For questions 36 to 40, match the extracts as you hear them with the different feelings experienced immediately after the accident by the speakers, listed A to H. Remember that you must complete both tasks as you listen. 1.
Well, I couldn't believe it. I just looked up and there it was, right in front of me. I mean, it shouldn't have been there. It had just pulled out suddenly. I couldn't avoid it. And in those days, nobody wore a helmet. I mean, you see a lot of people wearing helmets now, but years ago, nobody did. Well, I almost stopped him. The brakes were a lot better than I thought, and I didn't hit it, although I fell off and cut my leg a bit. I couldn't believe it. I'd expected much worse.
2.
Well, it was the first time I'd tried it, and I wasn't very good at it, and I wasn't really enjoying it either. It was the last day, and I was practicing, and I saw this, well, I don't know what it was, a sort of depression. There was probably a small stream underneath. Anyway, it sort of went down, and I thought I could just sail across it, through the air and onto the other side. But of course I hit the opposite bank and broke my leg. Quite badly, because the bindings didn't release as easily as they do now. I felt a complete idiot. It was so unnecessary.
3.
It was deliberate. It wasn't an accident at all. He saw how close I was to scoring and just decided to stop me. And nobody saw it, not even the referee. It really messed my knee up. I was off for the rest of the season.
4.
Somehow I knew he wouldn't get over it. It was just too high for him, but it was too late to stop him. I knew he'd fall. I was just hoping I wouldn't get hurt too badly. And I suppose a broken wrist isn't too bad. You have to accept the occasional accident. It's inevitable if you go out a lot. It hasn't put me off.
5.
Well, I could feel it going over and knew I couldn't stop it. The thing was, I didn't expect to be rescued. I was hundreds of miles from anywhere in a really remote area, and in those temperatures you can't last for more than a couple of hours, even with a life jacket. I had no hope at all. I hate to admit it now, but I actually started crying. But obviously no one could hear.